My name is Alvaro Ramirez, and I am working with Rising Voices in the project that is developed here in Medellin, Colombia, with other four ones in other parts of the world. We are now going up to La Loma San Javier, which is a very famous neighborhood in Colombia. This is very beautiful, but also it was heavily battered during a real war that developed here, where many youth were involved in arms, and it had to do with the narco traffics. The guerrilla groups took over some parts of this area, this neighborhood, from here up. And so these first neighborhoods we are traveling here now are San Michel. There are a couple of them, but we are going to the highest of them, the most remote and most in the periphery, which is called La Loma. We didn't want to come to a community that we didn't know anything about. We wanted to have some roots in it. So I began to find out, and we, through a friend of mine who's an odontologist, and my nephew told me about a very interesting cultural group up here in La Loma, and a guy who was working as a volunteer for more than 20 years with this group without getting any penny from the state, and developing a very interesting theater groups for children, also for grown-ups, and keeping some of the traditions that this area of the city, which was very rural in the past, had.
And now we're still going up and up and up into La Loma. About how long do you think is the taxi drive or bus to go up to La Loma from San Javier?
At least 4 kilometers.
And this
3
is
miles or something like that. Yeah.
This is all part of what's considered Comuna 13, right? Or the, I guess, 13th neighborhood. What's some of the history of Comuna 13? It has a pretty violent past.
Yeah, it was very peaceful, but since it's so hilly and so easy to, and a little bit in the outside of the city, the state wasn't able at one point to really have a presence here with the police and everything. So it was very easy for the narco groups, the narco traffics, to begin to create a small guerrilla group, small protection groups, and people who protect their businesses with the cocaine and other things. So Pablo Escobar had actually armed, and this was in the 80s, small groups of hire killers, young people. And later came the guerrilla groups. When Pablo Escobar died, they killed him. Then came the guerrilla groups to try to conquer these small hire killers to their cause. And later came the paramilitary. So this really became a very difficult place to live, because the civil population, the people without any arms, were in the middle of this war between small armed groups. So it was a very tough time. Many people were killed here and dead, and young people mostly. I found out that there was a small part of the big library in Medellin, la Biblioteca Piloto, the filial. How do you call a filial?
Satellite.
A satellite here, up here in the mountains. So I wrote to them and I asked them if they could help us with maybe the computers, because I found out that they had some computers in there. And it took a long time for them to answer. When they finally answered, actually, in the budget, I budgeted for the use of a little internet cafe they had there with 4 computers. But when I was traveling back, or traveling to Colombia to begin the project, I found out that the library was willing to lend us the machines, which are 10. That was a very good news. So we began with a small group, which is this cultural group. And when I finally met, because we couldn't, Mauricio forgot to call the library and everything. So when I finally called the library, the coordinator of the library, whose name is Gabriel Jaime Vanegas, he told me, "We are waiting for you." What is interesting about Convergentes is that these are people who use the library, young kids. He knows from they were 9, 10, 11, 12. They come often there, and they began to create a little group with them, with the most engaged. Nothing had to do with the digital world or anything. Just they wanted to begin to collect stories from the library and make a history of this area, which there's nothing written about it. So they wanted to collect stories and create like a small history of La Loma. So when I came with these tools, they said, this is fantastic, because now we are going to be able to do it with the right tools. We will be able to polish them too at the same time. And then I told him we have some money. Vice Invoices had given us some micro grant, so we will be able to also to have some cameras and some tape recorders, so that we can. They were taping the older people in this, the people who really know about the traditions, with only one very small tape, which was really bad, in bad condition. So they were very happy to get the tools and also to learn about blogs and to get access to the cameras.
Así baila el sello carnaval y su comparsita.